by the end of September, I'd like to have a really good understanding of what we're going to do with him, and I think that's our aiming point, to get to the end of that month and figure out A, where he's at, B, what's best interest for him and what's best interest for our football team. But probably end of September is when I'll have a really good idea what's going on there. I can tell you this: he is getting better. Started on land running this week, which was really good for him. So he's progressing at a really good rate. We'll just make a really good decision by that point.
So it's a big thing with him. If you're going to use him, you want him to play a certain number of games, probably.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the political answer is yes. The real answer is where are you? What's the best situation for him? We're fortunate where we've got some guys at that spot that we don't have to try to rush him back, and we want to make sure if he is healthy and he is returning that he's at 100% with that injury.
How have you come through camp health-wise, other than Devin, obviously, but anything that'll keep anybody out of the first game or so?
Yeah, as of right now, no. And now it's the last 3 days. We kind of 14, 15, 16, we've got some bumps, some bruises, some guys dinged up. But I really see us, knock on wood, we've been really healthy, and really fortunate up until this point. So, I think we'll have a better understanding of that as we've got a big practice tonight, we've got a big practice on Saturday, and then, have a really good idea where we're at by Tuesday as we get into kind of you and I and really practice for that first football game.
Yeah, what is next week like? It's your last non-game week of off-season.
Yeah, I think as we put this together, this plan for this camp, said let's take fall camp up until Saturday. Let's really put the emphasis on ourselves and what we need to do to get where we need to be, and then let's start on Tuesday and really almost as if you're going into a bowl game, is take that prep week and be a little advanced for you and I. Now we'll still take some time in development aspects of it, probably a little bit more heavy and individual and how we practice that way, but I think we can really start to get a great jump on our opponent.
I know a couple of weeks ago you thought Campbell would be here by now. What's kind of been the holdup?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I thought that. I just knew he'd be here at some point, and I think that's what I stated, and he'll be here. I think the latest I would see him getting here is by next Wednesday. So he'll be here. His only holdup is the fact of the matter of he's trying to finish up, just some core credit work that he's had to finish. And again, I think when you look at Camilo, sometimes you say, oh, that guy's, being lazy in the classroom. It's really not his situation. It's a core credit issue. And he's worked really hard. We'll get him here, and then once we get him here, we'll kind of see what happens. But he will be here, and I know that Cyclone Nation's all buzz about Camilo Tongamoya, and that's fair. He's a good football player and a good recruit, but there's 10 other guys that are doing a really good job, and we just want to get Camilo here because I think he'll add depth. When he'll play, how much he'll play, all comes of what kind of physical shape he's in, and at what point can he help our football team be successful. I do think he will at some point, though.
Is that annoying that he's getting so much? People are asking about him, and they're not asking about, Jaquan. They're not asking about, whomever.
Well, again, I don't mean to say this. I think that's the point of where we're at in our program.
Yeah.
We're talking about guys we're hoping and wishing come in instead of guys that are proven commodities. Now, that's the defensive line spot where it's young in general, right? You got a lot of guys, Ray Lima and Ennie and Jaquan and Josh Bailey and guys that have had fantastic camps. But I could sit here on my podium and go off on all these guys that are doing great things. But until they go out and they perform, then hopefully after the first game we're talking about all those guys and going forward, their performance, and then guys are coming in. But I think credit to him. Camilo's a very good football player, but the reality of it is us coaches really knew this situation was going to occur. Our whole deal was how can we do our best interest to put great depth there. And I think right now you're coming out of camp with 10 or 11 guys that we feel like can go in and play in a college football game and have success, which is a huge bonus for us, and still be able to redshirt some of our young guys, which we need to as well.
Mark Manning kind of talked a little bit about that last night, how it's exciting to look around the room and see that in a couple of years you're gonna have a lot of experience just throughout the line. And I gotta imagine that's the same way for you, just with the entire team, that in a couple of years you're gonna have more experience.
I mean, you look at this football team, and in a year and a half in recruiting, we have been able to at least reshape what the roster looks like. That part makes you be able to breathe, and there's competition from top to bottom. I think the thing we're excited about is we really feel like those guys that have been brought in on both the offensive and defensive line are guys that either if they're not ready to play yet, are guys that are capable of playing for us, and B, the guys that are capable of playing for us and they're young are really young and talented and have improved greatly through the summer. So, those are things that certainly make you feel better. I said this, and you can really go to all the positions. Quarterback was that way when we came in. I was like, oh man, like what the heck are we gonna do there? And and we were able to at least reshape that. And that's what I said from day one. You want to make that roster, that 105-man roster you bring in the fall camp, the most competitive and best you can be, and you got to do it a bunch of different ways and sort it out a bunch of different ways to get to that point. But I think you do look at it right now. You talk the Lions, the offensive line class. I know I said it in Dallas, and I'll tell you now, after 16 practices, that group's really special. Those young guys there, it's going to be really fun to watch the growth and that group come together. The defensive line, you look at last year's class, and Jaquan and Josh, Jamal Johnson, all four, all those guys are going to play football for us this year, and they're young pups, but they're kids that are really talented, and their ceiling's only going to get that much better. And some of those guys are redshirt freshmen, and some of those guys are true sophomores.
How do you